Listen to me if you want to live. Welcome back, everyone, to the Dr. C show. I am your host, Dr. C. Now, I have not been much one for voices, and to some of you that may have sounded like a person from across the pond, but I do my best to impersonate Arnold Schwarzenegger. Today I discuss with you a movie that has more questions than answers. I present to you Terminator Dark Fate. Spoilers ahead, so at this point in time, those of us who have seen it, those of us who have either A, have studied the Terminator franchise left, right, up, down, and center, and behind, or be getting into this with the basic knowledge of time travel and can follow a simple plot from movie to movie, you have got another thing coming. This time at the wheel is James Cameron, who co-wrote and produced with the help of William Wisher, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Now, before I get into anything about the movie itself, I will say this. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, and Terminator Salvation and Genesis, poof, are all gone. Or in this writer's mind wishes to believe that those movies happened on a different timeline. And if we're lucky enough, we may get a sequel to Genesis. That may tie into Dark Fate. I'll touch more on that later. But what I'm saying, those three movies are no longer canon due to one scene in this entire movie. This isn't like Genesis where the timeline changes and John Connor is the bad guy. No, no, no. My friend, the whole movie has flipped its lid. And well, quoting Salvation, you did what Skynet has failed to do for so many years. You killed John Connor. So yeah, James has done something that has taken the rules, thrown them out the window, took a can of gasoline, and lit them ablaze in the most spectacular feat. Okay, now that we've gotten that information out of the way, let's get on to the point I made earlier about how somewhere down the line we'll get a sequel to Genesis and Dark Fate that ties both together. So the ending of Genesis goes like this. The T-800, a.k.a. Pops, a.k.a. Arnold Schwarzenegger, battles with John Connor, a.k.a. the T-3000, a.k.a. Jason Clarke. They keep fighting and fighting as Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese run to the bunker and Pops pushes John into the unfinished prototype. Time displacement equipment, and the T-3000 freezes to ice and breaks while Pops gets thrown into liquid metal, giving him the ability to have some similar properties of the T-1000, like in T2 Judgment Day. Sarah, Kyle, and Pops visit the younger Kyle. Yeah, don't get me started on that mess that is Terminator Genesis. That's for another time. We end on a happy message. Skynet was gone, and now one road has become many. Though questions remain, we will search for the answers together. But one thing we know for sure, the future is not set. Then the credits begin to roll, but halfway through the screen goes black. The scene begins with a ball that is filled with a red light and glowing. But then we see that it's not alone. It turns out that Genesis, represented by a blue light in the shape of a child, has not been destroyed, and that the future of a robot uprising is still a very real thing. So my theory is the red ball is the new Skynet and Dark Fate called Legion, or it may be a backup system. That would be like a backup, but the problem I see with this is that there is so many plot holes and continuity errors aside. I would feel that I'd like to see some of the newer movies, if any could come to light at all, would touch back on the other timelines / movies that have been explored. And also, to be a little greedy, I would like to see the T-1000 in a new movie, as well as that would be something cool to see outside of a comic book and a discontinued Universal ride. Aside from the fact of John Connor dying right as the start of the movie begins, I felt the movie was pretty decent. It had wonderful acting, a little bit of decent visuals every now and again, and I thought that the new Terminator was very articulately created. I liked the style, I liked the deployment. I believe that every single actor did the best job they could. But, man almighty, James Cameron, why the hell you have to kill John? And as always, this has been the Dr. C2000. This has been the Doctor. I wish you a wonderful and happy evening. And I'll be back.